morning. It seems like everything is all set up. We are ready to go. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I haven't really talked about in a lot of detail before. I've certainly covered bits and pieces of some of it elsewhere. But today we're going to take a deep dive into using Excel as a data source. Now, I know what you're thinking. But we already know we can put an Excel spreadsheet in the content list and then we can just upload something and it imports to the database. And yeah, all that is true. But we're actually going to be taking a much deeper look. When I talk about Excel as a data source, we're going to be taking a much deeper look at how we'd actually set that up and the infrastructure we would need and some things that we're going to have to think about. Basically, if you're an on-premise customer, which I think most of you are not at this point, but if you're an on-premise customer, data is pretty easy. For the most part, your process director installation is going to be inside your firewall. You can make direct connections to your SQL or Oracle data sources. You can just pull data directly out of the database. In that case, you've got a nice, easy life, and it's great to be you. If you're a cloud customer, life is not so simple. Sure, technically, it would be possible to whitelist the IP address of your process director installation and have a hole in your firewall that you could grab stuff out of your internal databases behind your firewall and drag it over to process director. It's technically possible. Your IT people aren't going to let that happen. There's just a lot of resistance to doing that. So then your problem becomes, okay, well, I've got all this local data. How do I get it to process director? What kind of infrastructure needs to be set up to enable me to get that data to process director? It's obviously not going to be the live data. It's obviously going to be data with some sort of delay. So if you have data that changes a lot, which is to say has a high degree of currency, you may have to do this quite a lot more often. But we're going to walk through this whole process of creating a data structure around Excel, because the easiest way to get data from your internal data sources, if you can't touch them directly, is to export them to Excel and then to take those Excel files and push them up to process director. Excel is a really good transport mechanism, especially because we have both manual and automated options. Now, last week, most of the time when I talk about Excel, we just kind of gloss over the fact that you can import an Excel spreadsheet into your internal user database. I've never really gotten into the nuts and bolts of how to set up a data infrastructure to allow you to use Excel as the transport mechanism. And I'm not going to be able to cover all of it today, largely because I don't have SQL Server installed anywhere where I can actually go in and set up exports and export data. So that part we're going to leave out. You're going to have to talk to your IT guys. But the first step in all of this, and before we can even touch any of the options that we're going to cover today, is to find out what data you need out of your internal data stores inside your network. What data are you going to need? What needs to go to process director? And then discuss with your IT guys some sort of schedule for exporting that data to Excel. One of the nice things about SQL Server especially is that it just does data exports to Excel as a matter of course. So you can export Excel spreadsheets out of your regular data all day long and just have them placed in some accessible network folder. As long as you have access to that network folder from your computer, you can push that data to process director in a couple of ways, as we're gonna talk about today. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we will start getting into the details of how all of this works. I suppose we should start off with the data. Also, by the way, I have never tried to do this before. I have the VPN running while I'm trying to do a Zoom conference, and I have to, or else I can't show you what I need to show you today. So I've got to have the VPN running. Hopefully that doesn't interfere with the video or audio quality of the webinar, but just in case you're wondering what's happened and in case you're seeing some quality issues, that's probably what it is. Let's start off with our data. Let's assume at this point that we have already exported our data to Excel and we have an Excel spreadsheet with some data. I do. And here is that Excel spreadsheet. So I've got data, not a lot of data, just enough for us to see things and to play around with it here in a little bit. But I've got my data. So then my question becomes, how do I get this to Process Director? Now let's make some assumptions. Let's assume that I have this Excel spreadsheet that is being exported on a recurring basis from SQL Server. And I need to, on a similarly recurring basis, get this data up to Process Director. Going to need a couple of things to get this spreadsheet into our data. So let us go into Process Director because we are going to need two things. Oh, by the way, I'm doing all this stuff from scratch today. So I'm going to be building all of this stuff. And I hope I have enough time to get through everything. If I don't, then I've got some pre-built stuff that we can look at the end in case I run out of time. But just to let you know, we're going to generally build everything from scratch so you can actually see it happen in real time. As I was saying, I need two things. Obviously, I need a data source. I need a data source connector to the internal user database. So I'm going to go ahead and build that. You should already have one of these that is already built. And we'll call this Excel webinar. But I'm going to go ahead and build it. And by the way, if anybody wants this afterwards, I'll have it available. A lot of it is not going to help you because it is specific to this system, but things like this will. So I'm going to create my new Excel webinar data source. It's already an internal user database type. I could go through and specify tables. I'm not going to. And I'm not going to for a very good reason because I don't know what tables are going to be created on this data source. They're all going to be Excel tables. I need to have access to all of them. I need to be able to use the same data source for all my Excel imports. If you already have a generic internal user database data source, that's this type right here, then that's really all you need. I'm just building one so that you can see it get built in real time. Great, I've got my data source. Now I need my Excel spreadsheet. I need a template file that is going to determine how my imports are all going to work. So I've got to create an Excel template to make this happen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and upload the Excel template that I have just shown you. So we will go to Document, File. And at this point, it doesn't matter what data is in this Excel spreadsheet. I just need to have some data. And it doesn't seem to want to upload the spreadsheet. There we go. So we'll go to Browse and we'll need to have this spreadsheet uploaded. But before I do that, I was going to talk about this later. But I'll never mind. I'm confusing myself on the best way to do this. I have notes written over here that I wrote extensively yesterday, and now I'm second guessing the order in which I did things. But let's carry on because I think this will work fine for us as well. I'm going to export my Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and upload it, and we can then open up the properties for the Excel spreadsheet, and we can take a look at it. If I want to import this data, which obviously I do, and I want to import it every time that I update this Excel spreadsheet. So I want to import the Excel data every time I import a new version or check in a new version of this Excel file. Every time it gets overwritten, I need to re-import the data. So obviously I've got to connect to my Excel webinar data source. So I'm going to do that. My destination table prefix, I don't want to be Excel. I want to be webinar underscore is fine. And then I've got these properties here. This is now where it's going to start getting a little bit confusing. For now, I am going to click the drop database, and they automatically import this Excel file. I'm going to want that checked just by default. So I don't even have to think about that. That I need to check. The create database tables, if needed, don't need to think about either. Needs to be checked. My problem is this drop database tables and clear database rows. This is a lot more complex than you would think because you can set data types in your process director data. Now, whenever you get the Excel export out of SQL, and so you've got your big honkin' Excel file that you need to upload, that Excel file is not going to set the data types for each of those Excel columns. I mean, it might set the Excel formatting, and that's completely immaterial whenever you import it into Process Director. If data types are important to you, this is where we have to do some thinking and do some planning to determine how this Excel data is going to look. And I want to demonstrate that by actually looking at our data. So I've got Azure Data Studio running, which, by the way, if you just need to look at data and play around with it and run queries, Azure Data Studio is like 1,000 times better than SQL Server Management Studio. It's free and it runs databases. So I've got my cloud database, which is the database that training runs on. And I want to go and look at it, and I want to go and look at the tables. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't actually import the tables. So I am going to just import the tables now. And this table does not exist. It will be called webinar. What will it be called? What will the table be called? We're going to have to look at our spreadsheet again, just so that we know how all of this works. So let's reopen our spreadsheet. So in the Excel workbook, let's go here. I have this sheet, and the sheet is called sample data. One of the things that's important whenever you're importing an Excel file is to be sure that this does not just say sheet 1 or sheet 2 or sheet 3. Those are the default names that Microsoft gives to Excel worksheets inside a workbook. These sheets need to have a specific name. Now, I believe when you export it from Excel, it actually does rename the sheet name to whatever the table name is inside SQL Server. So your sheet name should already be set. It should already be something different than sheet 1. My Excel spreadsheet is called sample data with no spaces, obviously, because it's an Excel spreadsheet. So sample data is actually going to be the name of the table that will get created. And in point of fact, because I have configured this destination table prefix, it's actually going to be webinar underscore sample data. Think a lot about that prefix as to whether you want it or whether you want to keep just the name of the table that gets exported out of Excel. Or I'm sorry, out of SQL. Just something to think about. I tend to keep it just out of laziness so that it always says Excel generally. but that's something you do need to think about. Do you want that table prefix? It's just going to make your table name longer. And if the table name is already long, maybe you don't want it. And maybe you just want to keep the regular table name. Or maybe you do want it to say Excel because you want it to know that it's from Excel data. Or maybe you have some other prefix. I don't know. It's optional. You can do what you want. You can have it or not have it. But because I have this webinar underscore prefix and the sheet name in my Excel spreadsheet is sample data, my table is going to be webinar sample data. And so if we go back to Azure Data Studio and we look at our tables and we scroll way down, 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 I've got webinar mock data and outside user data, parts, products, services, but I don't have sample data. So that's the table that we're going to build whenever we import our data from this Excel spreadsheet. So at this point, if I can figure out how to get back to Process Director, I'm going to go ahead and import these tables now. And I should get the message that says Excel DB imported successfully. I can certainly check to see if that is in fact true, although I am going to have to refresh my database here. And so now if I scroll down, I should have webinar sample data. Now we got to look at this webinar sample data, and we have to look at the columns that were brought in. When this data was imported, the way that the import works is it looks at the first couple of rows of data, and based on that data, it tries to determine what data type each column is going to be. But I don't like the way that this works for a couple of reasons. As it turns out, my encounters field is actually a number field, and I would actually want to do math on it. So it is, in fact, an integer field. But what if it was zip codes? The import would read those as numeric fields. And as we talked about, I think last week or week before that, that's going to make sorting by zip code kind of difficult because it will sort in numeric order. It will not sort in alphabetical order. And you want to sort zip codes, even though they're numbers, in alphabetical order because you want all of your 5-digit and 9-digit zip codes, in the case of the US, to stick together. Another problem that arises if you are using a field like a zip code would be it trying to figure out how this data is supposed to work. Let's make a little change here and let's go back to my Excel spreadsheet. Well, I seem to have closed my Excel spreadsheet. I think I'm going to need to keep it open. Downloads. Let's go back to our Excel data. And let's say that this isn't encounters. Let's say, in fact, that this is called postcode. Now, we are going to drop the table and rebuild it. So having this new field is not going to be a problem. But let's go 92111, 92107. Oh, wait, wrong. Nope. I don't want a new column. I want to go to the next row. 92107 down. 95876 down. Let's see, 01878. Let's do an East Coast zip code. And now let's do Toronto. Now, I hope I have enough data here to force this to be a integer field. See, here's the other problem. Let's make this a text field. I want to explicitly in Excel make this a text field so that you can see how little it actually matters. And I think this will do what I want. So I've got 01878. That might mess things up, but that's fine. I didn't actually physically do this test yesterday, but we'll take a look at it. What I'm hoping is it's going to grab these first couple of rows, try to figure out that it's an integer, and then it's going to store it as integer data. And then I hope this blows it up. So I'm trying to blow it up. So I'm just trying to show you some of the things that you might want to think about as you're doing the import. And ultimately, how to fix this. So there we go. Postcode. I've got a Canadian postal code for Toronto, bunch of US postal codes. Pretty happy with this as it exists now. Let me be sure that I save it. Okay, great. Save to this PC. And now I'm going to, oh wait, I better save it. So let's update. So let's save that. Let me turn on drop tables, because we do want to drop the table and recreate it, because we're actually changing the data. And let me go to the edit tab. I'm going to check this out. Then I'm going to browse for the copy that I have here, Excel data.xlsx. I'm going to upload my new version. Okay. It caught it. Great. It caught it on this import. So it actually tried, and I'll say input string was not, I don't want to copy it. Input string was not in a correct format. So what it tried to do is create this as a double rather than an integer, but okay, that's fine. At least it's a number. But then it got to M5W1E6 and it went, no, 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 no. This is already a number field. You can't be throwing in zip codes there because I said it was a number field. But in our Excel file, we didn't say it was a number field. In fact, we said it was a text field. So look, it says text. This isn't a number, but because the import will automatically want to look at these first couple of rows, it's going to take a look at that and say, okay, well, based on, this couple of rows, this looks like numbers. In this particular case, it set it as a double number, so a double precision number rather than just a plain straight up integer, but a number nevertheless. And then it got here and threw an error. Okay, I've got to be able to fix that. But my fix is also going to affect how the import works and how I have to configure the Excel file. Now, what I can do is I can specify the data type in my template, which is great. I can do that, but remember, I'm going to overwrite this template. And because I'm going to overwrite it, the settings that I set for the import are going to be super important now on my Excel template. So when I go back over here to my import database, I'm not going to be able to use drop database anymore if I set these values, but I do in fact want to set these values. Actually, there's a couple of problems that I probably want to fix anyway. Okay, this is the old data, so let's refresh this. Okay, so it brought in the postcode as a decimal, which actually I would prefer it to have brought it in as an integer. Don't know why it brought it in as a decimal. It may be because row 4, I have a leading 0. And so it said, there's something funky going on here. It's not an integer, so we'll just make it a double precision decimal. And so it brings it in as decimal 18.4 in SQL. Well, I don't want either of those. I don't want it to be int or decimal. I want to change that. Now, these fields here, the animal name and the type, I mean, they're fine. I mean, technically, they're the correct data type, but they're both varchar max fields. I'm not going to get into all of the SQL data types about varchar and varchar. We're not going to do that. If you want to know about that, study that on your own. All we need to know is that these are text fields, and that's great because that was text data. But it's going to default to creating them as max fields. In other words, it's going to have to set aside a bunch of space just in case the data in this field is a, PhD dissertation. But that's not what we have. We just have the names of animals and the type of animal they are. Wolves and bears and trout and eagles and whether they're mammals. We don't need this to be a var-Carmax field. We actually need these fields to be smaller. We don't want to have the database reserve a ton of memory for a 10 character or 20 character field. Now, by default, because we didn't set any data types, Process Director just tries to figure out what it is we're trying to do. Sees text and it says, okay, you got text here. Who knows how much text you have? So we're just going to make this an nvarchar-max field so that it will store whatever the maximum amount of data is that you could possibly throw into an Excel cell. We'll just ensure that we have that stored. So I don't like that because it reserves too much memory. My table doesn't need to be that big. These are much simpler fields, but by default, it just sees text and it brings it in as nvarchar-max. In this case, it saw the numbers, it brought it in as a decimal. As we saw previously, whenever they were small numbers, it just brought it in as an integer. Either way, that's not what I want for this field. So Process Director enables us to fix this problem because we can specify data types. A couple of different ways to do it. Now, if we look at our documentation, and this is from the Excel data sources topic. So there's a whole topic under data source objects, Excel data sources. And one little section here is talks about setting data types. Now, there are a couple of BP keywords. So if you don't know what the data types are in SQL Server, you don't need to. You can just use these keywords in your Excel spreadsheet to specify the data types. All you have to do is just put in the name of the column, a colon, and then the data type that you want. In our case, we want all of these fields to be string fields, right? So we can go back to our Excel data. I'm getting more and more stuff open. And so, well, there's actually three things that we want to do. Don't like the fact that these are nvarchar-max fields, and this is going to end up being a nvarchar-max field if I don't fix it. So I don't want that to happen. They're all going to be string fields. So I need to put a colon, and I can do this a couple of different ways. So I can put, BP underscore string. Now, if I just do this, it's going to make it an nvarchar-max field, and I don't want to do that. I can actually overwrite the field size so that it only reserves the appropriate amount of space for a smaller field for me, so it doesn't go automatically to nvarchar-max. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overwrite it by just throwing in a parenthesis. And let's see, what's the max animal name? Let's say 25. So that'll be BP string 25. And you know what? I'm going to do that for the type too. So we'll copy that over. Then I'll go to the type. And, well, that's 2 colons, which I didn't want. BP string 25. And then I've got my post code here, which, let's see, M5W3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say 10. 10. Okay, great. Now I can specify the string. My last import failed, and it failed because of that Canadian postal code in what Process Director thought was a numeric field. It thought it was a decimal field. It's not. So let's save this. Let's put it all as BP string. Oh, by the way, if you do know the SQL data type, you don't have to use the BP Logix keywords. You can, in fact, use the SQL data type. Actually, I don't even want to make this an nvarchar. I'm just going to make this varchar. I think that'll work. We'll make that a varchar 25. Again, not going to get into the difference between nvarchar and varchar, but it's okay. We're gonna refix this anyway. We're just doing demos at the moment. So I can do it one of two ways. Obviously, if you don't know the name, and the simplest way is just go BP underscore string, BP underscore int, BP underscore decimal. And as the documentation indicates, it's just gonna create the appropriate fields type for you in the database. So you can have a string, a Boolean, a yes or no, which is a bit field in SQL Server. Decimal, the standard precision for a decimal in SQL Server is 18 comma 4. That's generally good enough for government work for almost anything that you do. Int, well, it's an integer. How difficult can that be? And then we have BP date time. And we can actually use both the keyword and the SQL data type. And as we see here, we're using both. So this should come in as a varchar, not an nvarchar. This field here should be nvarchar 25, varchar 25, and then nvarchar 10 are the field types that I should see. Although I didn't do this precise import yesterday, we're just going to cowboy our way through it and see what happens. So that import failed. Oh, and by the way, I didn't look in Azure Data Studio while we're here and looking at this in Azure Data Studio, and we refresh this. Let's actually create a query here. Let's close my action page, and we'll go up here and we'll just do a select top 1,000, and it'll create our query up here so that we can see it in the window. And there we go. So we can see what it thinks our postal codes are with our 4 decimal places. And then it got down to number 4 and it just died. It couldn't go beyond that. Now, in a real import, if I was importing 1,000 rows of data and row number 5 was, as in this case, a Canadian zip code, I got in 4 of my 1,000 rows. And then everything went awry and I lost all my data. So this is bad. And by the way, if my data happens to be in the first 3 rows, I will get no rows at all. It will fail the field validation for the field type, and it'll just say, I don't know what you're trying to do here, buddy. This is especially true if I have the data types set. Actually, I think in this import, because I didn't have a pre-existing Excel spreadsheet, I dropped it and created a new one. It went ahead and went through my first 4 rows. So in this particular case, where I am essentially importing de novo, and I'm doing a drop table, and then it's just recreating the table from scratch. This is how it'll work. It'll work until it hits the field that fails the field type validation, which in this case just happened to be row 5. And all the rows before it will come in, but nothing after it will come in. Once it hits that error, it doesn't know what to do. It just gives up. So keep that in mind. I'm only going to get in partial data when I see that error because I've got a data validation problem. But I should fix that data validation problem now with my import. So we'll check it out. Once again, we'll grab our Excel data spreadsheet and we'll re-upload it. It imported successfully. Great. So let's refresh our table. And there we go. I have animal name, and as I expected, nvarchar 25. I specifically set the type field to varchar 25. That's what it is. And then once again, using the string 10, I set this field to 10. And so I got the right field type for this postal code. And obviously, if I rerun my query, I can see all of my data the way that I expect to see it. It's got all the proper data types that I want for my data. We're going to go ahead and keep the postal code rather than going back to encounters. We'll try that a little bit later. I'm not really going to do math, so I don't think it matters. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking as I do this stuff live, how I want to demo this to you. Okay, so great. I've got some data in, but now, because of the way I've done this, and by the way, I'm going to re-import this one more time because having one field as a varchar and the other two as invarchars is super irksome. So I'm going to go back to BP_string, which I think is good enough for most cases. I mean, if you know the SQL data types, good for you. You can use them as I just did, but I think for most of us who don't use SQL all the time, the keywords that are on that are listed here on this documentation topic are going to be the ones that help us. So let me be sure that I saved this. It says saved, but I'm going to hit Control S one more time. And then we'll go back. We're going to check it out and re-import it real quick. Upload our new version. Happy, happy, happy. Let's go back to Azure Data Studio. Let's refresh my table. Okay, now they're all, because I used BP_string for all of them, they're all in varchar fields, text fields, 25 characters for the first two, and then 10 characters for the postcode. We won't really notice any difference when we rerun the select top 1000. It'll just give us our 5 records, and those 5 records look fine. Well, I think we're pretty happy at this point. We have our data, it's brought in, and now we have a template. But because we used a specific data type for each of the fields, we got to think about what the future looks like. When you export out of Excel or out of SQL, the Excel file is not going to have any of this data type information listed. We're going to be back to this with no data type showing at all. We just have a column name. And I'm actually going to save this right now, save it to PC so that I can import it. Well, I'm going to have to uncheck this. Whenever we upload our data, we're going to override this template. This template is just going to be gone, gone, gone. But that's not a problem if I don't drop the table. Once I have imported my template, I have basically put a pin for now in the data types for each of these fields. So we already know what the data types are. We also know that in my future imports, not the template that I manually massaged to build the table that I wanted to build in SQL, which was this one, now that this data has been massaged, I got to keep it. And because I have to keep it, I cannot select the drop database tables before import. Because if I do, and as we've seen about 5 times now, every time I import it, as long as I have drop tables selected, if the data type changes, it's going to change the data type in the new table that gets created because I dropped the old one. I don't want my data types to change, and they will change to invarchar max. Actually, it'll change to 2 of the fields will be invarchar max, and 1 will go back to decimal if I try to re-import this data again in a spreadsheet that doesn't have the data types physically present in the column header. Don't want that to happen. So I can't use drop tables. I got to turn that off. But if this is a case, now I've got something a little more complicated happening. Now there's a second thing I got to think of. What I would normally do is just say, okay, well, if I can't drop the table, I'll just clear the database rows. And under normal circumstances, that would be a great solution. The table doesn't get dropped, it remains, and I can re-import the data over and over again. However, it's going to clear the database rows before it inserts the new rows. So whatever data exists in that table is still going to get deleted, but it's not going to drop the table. It's not going to change my data types. None of that is going to happen. And so if I was to do a reinsert now, and I'm going to add another record just so that we can see something new. So sparrow is a bird, and this sparrow lives in Texas somewhere. I think that's close to Houston, and we'll save that. And notice again, up at the top, no data types set. So now I have a second version of the spreadsheet with no data types. And it's got my first 4 records, but it's also got a 5th record. So let's import this table. So we're doing this manually at the moment. Let me update it first. So we're doing this manually, but we'll show you how to automate this whole process here in a little bit. So there's my Excel data. We'll upload the new version. Okay. What did I do wrong? It wants a double string value. That is not what I wanted. I wasn't dropping the table. I'm not sure. It says it's a double. That means if we run this, it did blow up on the post code. And fact is, it shouldn't have blown up on that post code because this field is set to in varchar. I tried this yesterday with an integer, and that error didn't happen. It actually did the import. So this is catching me a little by surprise. Let me go back here. Postcode 7105. Sure. I don't know why it is trying to convert that to a double because it didn't do that yesterday. Let me go back to my. No, let's just try her again. I know it's got row 4, which is the 5th record because this is 0 based, but that's not what I expected to happen. I didn't expect I needed that conversion, and I didn't expect it to blow up my Excel import. It's still blowing up my Excel import, which I did not expect. Now, what I did yesterday is I just used encounters. Oh, but you know what? I changed their stock. Here's why it worked. It changed their. It kept them as text, but the actual import data, the number format was all the same. So it just converted my integers to text when I imported them. That import is going to be tricky. It's going to mess with me because I've got this mixed data here. There is one thing I can try in SQL, and we'll see if this works. And that is usually if you have numbers and you want to convert them to text, the old way was to put in an apostrophe before each number. And I don't know if doing that is going to fix this for me, but we're going to try it so that shows up as a number. Let's see if that fixes my problem, because this is not one that I ran across yesterday. So, and it's because of the way I did it. All the numbers were formatted as numbers, but, and as you just saw, they're still numbers, or they still in the table would be text, but the import wants to try to at least attach them as numbers. So let's upload this. Okay, that worked. So in Excel, your hack in Excel, if you have numbers like zip codes and they're not numbers, they're actually text, and you want to treat them as text, the way that you do that in Excel is you stick, well, highlighting that doesn't seem to help much, does it? Here, let's make our Excel spreadsheet bigger. Ooh, well, maybe not that big. And maybe not that small. There we go. That's readable. So now we can see this. So what we did is we dropped in an apostrophe before the number. That lets you know that that is a text field. So part of your Excel export now, if you're going to be exporting, zip codes, and you have a mixture of American and, in this case, Canadian. And by the way, Britain uses a very similar zip code system as well. And then, of course, you get into all the Europeans, which have really weird zip codes from our perspective as Americans anyway. You're going to need to have that apostrophe in front of the US zip codes. Now, because that apostrophe is there, that lets you know that this is actually a text field. It's not a number field. In fact, you can tell that in Excel simply by the fact that it is aligned to the left, whereas numbers in Excel, to keep the digits in line, always align to the right. This was a text field, so I specified that. So let's get rid of that 92111. There we go. Now we got rid of it, and it's a number, so it aligns to the right. And then, of course, to make it text again, I'll just put in the apostrophe, and now it aligns back to the left. So apostrophe is kind of important. That will forego the problems that you run into trying to do the import. So now I should be able. Well, I just did the import. It just worked. So we can rerun it. Did I not put in I did not put in a zip code. I thought I did. So we'll go 10807. And once again, let's drop our apostrophe there to be sure that this is text. Let's save it. Go back to process director. Check her back out, browse, upload new version, import successfully back to Azure Data Studio, rerun my select query. There we go. Now I've got my data in. And again, I've now bought this thing in like, 4 or 5 times. My data type still has not changed. So I get to keep the same data type. What I don't get to do is drop the table anymore. Second issue or third issue. Now that we've gotten through those two, what time is it, by the way? It is almost 11. Okay, this is taking time. I suspected that it might. Our third issue that we have to talk about in getting this data in and how we're going to handle this. So we're still on infrastructure. We're still just trying to build a template that works. Is this property right here, this clear database rows. Now, in our case, we wanted that because we just brought in the entire data set again, and this data set just happens to have a new row appended to it. Is that how your data is actually going to be brought in? Maybe it's not. Maybe instead of having all of the existing data, now I will grant that I think in most cases, you're probably always going to just re-import your existing data. And if you have any new data, it's going to be re-imported as well. But what if that's not true? What if I'm only grabbing, and I want to get rid of just those rows. So let's hit delete and get rid of those rows. So what if I'm just grabbing additional data, right? Oh, that is not how you spell stoat. Stoat is a mammal. Who cares about the postal code? And marmot, which is also a mammal. And the marmot is in Colorado somewhere, but I don't know what any Colorado zip codes are. So we'll just make one up. So now I have entirely new records. My old records still exist. They're there. I don't want to get rid of them, but my export is now only giving me new records. Okay. Well, in that case, let's save it here. In that case, I need to turn off both drop tables and clear database rows because my data is now new data. It's not the existing data plus, it is just the plus. So what I need to do is just turn that clear database rows off. So this time, update, 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 always update. There, now it's happy to let me check it out. So this time, I'm going to do an import. I'm going to upload my new version of the spreadsheet. Looks happy. Let's go back into Azure Data Studio. And there we go. Now I have additional records. There are my Stoat and Marmot records that have been added to the database. So we got to think very carefully about how this Excel file is going to work for us and what it is that we want it to do, how we want our data types to work in our template. And once I've got this down and I know how my data is going to come in other words, is it going to bring in the entire record set? I think in most cases it will. In most cases, you're going to have all of the records that you want, and being able to clear the database rows is going to be fine. I think it is important that you set the data types, especially if you have a lot of data. If you can, if you know what the data types are in SQL, you know that the data is always going to be in that format. I mean, look, the import is kind of iffy, so we have to force it. We have to set those data types in the initial import, and we have to turn off drop tables so that we don't just delete that table and build a new one in its place with the new data. But other than that, most of the errors that we just saw, they're import errors, which you can get rid of simply by adding data types to the header of your Excel column. And then you don't have to worry about your data. And once the data is in there, look, if that data is stored in a specific format in Excel, you're not going to see any of these import errors that we've just looked at that I just intentionally generated, except for the one where it's just the import itself was a little wonky. Your data, your source data is already going to be in the correct data format. So for the most part, you don't have to worry about those import errors. Now, there is one that we just happened to see with the zip code format where during the import itself, the import thought it was importing numbers and it wasn't importing numbers. So maybe the order, zip codes are always tricky to handle. So if you have Canadian zip codes, maybe you want to bring those in first on your import. Just you change the sort order so that those zip codes show up first. And that way, when it imports the data, well, it'll import the Canadian zip codes first. That's obviously text. It will obviously in the import think it's text, and you could avoid those import errors. Otherwise, if the data is not properly formatted as text in the original Excel, in other words, if you're missing that, if you're just showing numbers and your first 5 rows are just numerical zip codes, and then you get to row 6 and it's Canadian zip code, that's going to make things blow up on you on the import side itself. So there are some wrinkles to this when you set data types. So you just need to be aware of that. And Zip codes, postal codes are the most obvious example I can think of where you can have radically different formats for the data and where you can fool the import process into thinking the data is one type. Ah, look, a number, when the data is actually not a number, it's actually text. So you have to force that. In this case, we force it in Excel um, with the uh, what do you call that? Apostrophe. That's what you call it, with the apostrophe. So just some things to think about there. Most of the time, this is not going to happen. Most of the time, your format is set. It's all set in the proper format in the SQL Server. It'll come out in the proper format. It'll be imported in the proper format. But there are some wrinkles that you have to think of. The important thing to remember is when I create this template and I set my data types, I can never turn on drop database tables again. Because if I do, it's not only going to delete all of my existing data, but when it recreates it, it's going to create it all with that nvarchar max field. It's going to take up too much memory. I don't want my tables formatted like that. So it is kind of important that you fix a template up with the appropriate data types. And who cares that you can't drop tables? You still have the clear database rows and tables before inserting. So you're still getting rid, if you have this checked, of all of your original data. So it doesn't really matter. It's all gone anyway. And only the data that you import is going to be part of the process. And if that includes your old data, well, then great, you're back to status quo ante, but you are at least keeping your data types set so that they don't change for all of your subsequent imports. Of course, that assumes the clear database rows, that assumes that whenever I do an import, it is also bringing in all of my original data in addition to any new data rather than just bringing in new data. So you got to keep all this stuff in mind when you're creating the template. But once you've got it created, and we're just going to assume that what I bring in is everything that I want to bring in, and I wonder how far I can Control Z my way out of this. There we go. So I still want to add them back. So forgive me. I want my data in the spreadsheet to match what's currently in the database. Mammal and mammal and apostrophe, can't forget that. And then the apostrophe 67890. I didn't put the apostrophe in. Erg. I can only imagine what it's like for you people watching me try to type while talking and standing up. Okay, so there's my data. I want it in this format. And by the way, let's make the weasel Canadian too. So oops. And we'll save our data. Good to go. And just because we now have the clear, we're going to do one more import. I just want to be sure that everything is set properly. And let's re-import our data manually one more time, which, by the way, is all we've been doing. We've been doing, of the 3 ways that I have to get data into Process Director, of which you are only going to use 2 in most cases. But of all the ways that I have to get into Process Director, what we've been doing so far is the one that obviously you're going to be the most familiar with. I manually import the data. There we go. My data is good. Field type's good. Everything is fine. So as I was saying, you manually import the data over and over and over and over, and you don't want to do that. That's just, you don't want to do it. So we're not gonna do it anymore. What you're usually going to do is automate the process of getting this data from this Excel spreadsheet into Process Director on a recurring basis. First thing you're going to have to do is grab a hold of BP import. If you're an on-premise customer, BP import and everything else is all part of the install. It's actually in the website folder. You can grab it and pull it down if you have access to the server, or yeah, you can simply go to I want to go to doc, I think. Guide. No, yeah, I don't want to go to guide. I do want to go to support and go to the downloads page and then go to process director downloads, and you can grab the BP Logix utilities right there. And those are the current BP Logix utilities. So BP import, BP email import, and BP util are all included. It's a zip file. You can just download the zip file. And once you've downloaded it, you can just extract it. I've extracted it right into my downloads folder. And there are all the utilities. There's also a couple of DLLs that make them work, but just stick them in this folder. I've got it in the downloads folder, largely because I'm going to delete it after this webinar, but this is where I put it. And for the most part, what you're going to use is bpimport.exe to get your data into Process Director. So here is BP Logix import. And you know what I have to do before we do this, so that we can see that there are some changes. So we know what data we have here. So we have record number 8. So we have Stoat and Weasel. Let's make a new record. One more record. And we'll go with bass, and that's a fish. And bass generally live in New York City, I believe. So there we go. New data. I've got bass. So now I have 10 rows in this spreadsheet. So let's just keep in mind that we have a new creature called a bass. I'm just doing that for our purposes here today. Where was, I know I just had it. Okay, there's BP import. So we're going to put that there. I need to also get back process director because I need to copy and paste some stuff here. Actually, let's just make process up. I don't want to make that smaller. I want to make process director smaller. How do I do that? Erg. Oh, I have to go above the share part. Okay, great. We'll make process director smaller so that we can see it. I got some copying and pasting I have to do. So right here, this thing that says BP import. Let me actually kill the Excel spreadsheet and let me, wow. How many things do I have open? Okay, there we go. So now I should just be saying process director and BP import. So I'm going to need to configure BP import the first time to bring my data in. I'm also going to want to test it just to be sure that it works properly. So first thing it's going to need is the URL. You can't see it, but the URL is training.bplogix.net. So I'm going to copy that out of the address bar of my browser, and I'm going to paste that there. Then it wants the user ID. And I created a user ID and a password specifically for this webinar so that I could delete it afterwards. And I forgot what the password was that I set. So we're going to go to user administration, and I think I called it import user. So I remember the username. Okay, fine. We'll search for import. There we go. There's an import user. And I'm going to need to reset the password because I don't remember what password I set for this. And I'm not going to take the last pass suggestion. I want it to be something that's easy to type. So we'll just create a password that is not password 1. I forget. Sorry. Okay, I've got a new password. We'll update. I mean, worst comes to worst, we'll just use my password and I'll encrypt it, which I'm going to encrypt this one anyway, so you won't see it whenever we get to that part. So the user is import user. The password is I think we're going to go ahead and encrypt the password. Doing that for a reason. We'll get back to that later. Partition. It is the default partition. Default partition. I have multiple partitions on this machine as it happens. And the optional starting folder. Well, that is easy enough to grab from here. Great. And where is the local document located on my system? So it is in downloads. So it's going to be Dan Frank's downloads. That's the folder I want to use. All right. So done my connection tab configuration. I need to know the URL of the process director server. And by the way, I'm not doing anything special here. I have no special setup on my computer. I have no special access to process director that's different from what you have. Well, actually, I do if I'm on the VPN. There's also some sneaky things that I can do, but we're not doing sneaky things. So for right now, this works for me. Actually, uh, uh, this will work for you too. To be able to do this, to add stuff to the content list. So there's also no restrictions on your network. By the way, I'm having to take my little overshirt off because it's starting to get warm in here. There's nothing special. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. You don't have to do anything special. This is just completely standard run of the mill stuff that we're doing here. So I just need the URL for my process director server. I need a user ID that is authorized to access the folder I'm going to use to be able to put stuff in it. I created a user ID called import user for this webinar specifically. It's got a password, put in the partition name, the folder where I want to place the document, which is going to be a replacement of this Excel data. And it's located in the downloads folder. Now, I might have a whole bunch of other stuff in the downloads folder too. And I only want to grab that one document. So I've got a couple of filter options. For example, I can go .xlsx, and that's not what I typed. That's what we end up with, .xlsx. I only want Excel files, and I only want one. Doesn't matter. It's the only file that's in there, so I don't care. But I can filter for that. I can filter on the maximum file size. I can filter on the maximum file age. For example, if I have a file that comes in every day, then I can just set the max file age so that it only gets the file from, say, today. If I'm bringing in multiple files, I can also sort them, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about that. I don't really care about anything on the options tab for right now. For right now, all I want to be sure that I do is grab the single Excel file that happens to reside in this downloads folder. And there's only one, so I don't really have to do anything other than to say, just only grab me the Excel file or files with Excel. There's only one of them. It's my Excel data file. And obviously, I want to know whether I'm importing or exporting my data. We can obviously do this in reverse to export data. For now, we're importing data, so we get a little different setup. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit start. Please check the authentication credentials, username and password. Okay. So whatever it was that I thought was the password that I set was not the password that I set. So to go back, you know what? I've got encrypt password on. We're just going to do it as me. I know what my password is. Apparently, I don't know what my password is. All right, let's try her again. No files successfully imported into process director. Um, okay, yes. Let's close. Yeah, let me just close this completely. All right. It should go into training webinar data. This all worked yesterday. I hate it when I do stuff in practice and then live it blows up. So it is XLSX. It is an XLSX file, right? Let's open up my downloads folder. Let me be sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Desktop Excel data dot XLSX. Um, you know what? It's the only file that's in there. I'm going to turn that filter off. Start her again. It imported two files. Well, not what I wanted. So why didn't the Excel file work? First of all, what got imported? I only thought I had one file in there. Oh, I didn't want to redo the whole thing. Oh, BP utilities desktop.ini. All right. Let's get rid of that. Yes, delete it. Um, it bought in a new copy of Excel data, which I didn't particularly want. Is that the, yeah, that's the one that I can delete. Yes, delete it. Okay. So let's go back and put that back on my matching criteria. Uh-oh. Something seems all stuck here. All right, not sure what's going on with BP util. Our BP import. Well, we're going to have to rebuild this now. Erg. Import succeeded. Everything is hot. All right, I don't understand why it's not working. All right. Don't know why it's freezing. So let me end the task. We'll just not responding. Huh. Okay. Well, that's not what I expected. Never seen that before. And I can't even cancel the task. Can I open it again? Sorry. Let me see if I can just reopen BP import in a new window. Apparently I can. So we'll just pretend that this is what we want. We'll close that. We'll close that back down. And once again, we'll just try this one more time. That. Encrypt my password. Thank you very much. Partition name, default partition, and the optional starting folder is here. Local file path is downloads. Filter dot XLSX. Maximum number of documents to import is 1. And you know what? I went past this and I shouldn't have. And by the way, this is why there were two Excel data import files. I forgot to click overwrite existing files because what I want to do is overwrite this Excel data template with the new file. So now I should hit start. one file successfully imported into process director. Is that true? Well, let's look and refresh and see if I have BAS here. And look, I do. I have BAS that imported, and it imported directly off of my system from BP Import. That makes me a very happy camper. Now, I can do this manually, and that's great. That's good for me, but I don't want to do this manually. The whole point of why is my phone beeping or ringing at me? I thought I had silenced it. But the whole point of this is trying to make this happen automatically. Right? I don't want to have to go and manually import all of my data. And so far, all we've been doing is manually importing all of our data. I want to stop that. So I do have to open up BP Import, and I do have to do all of this configuration. Kind of important. However, once I have the configuration and I have tested it and I know that it works, as I now know that it works, why my old one is still stuck here, I'm not sure, but I know that this one works. Well, I want this to be replicable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to save parameters. And what that is going to do is it is going to show me what the actual command is that it is going to run. It's going to go run BP import exe. It's going to run it on training.bplogix.net. It's going to run it for me with my password, and it's going to use Dale download. Everything that I need is all right here in this command line. So I could do a couple of things. I mean, obviously I could copy this and I could go to I don't know why I would do this, but I could go to the command prompt and I could run this off the command prompt. So, I mean, that would certainly work. Don't know why I would do that, but I certainly could. But what I really want to do with this parameter is I want to export it to BAT. Now, if I click export to BAT, it's going to save a batch file, but it's going to save it in the folder with where my BP import is stored. I think in most cases that's fine. If you wanted to create your own batch file, you would just have to use copy to copy the information, open up a text file, paste it in there, and save your batch file where you are. But I'm just going to go ahead and use export to BAT because it is going to create a custom underscore BP import.bat file. And it's going to create it, as I said, in the same folder where my utility file is, and that is in a subfolder of, well, all right, let me just open up Windows Explorer. I've got so many things open now. I'm so confused. So we'll go to downloads, we'll go to BP utilities, and there is custom import.bat. And I can double click on it. And it will, it will run it via the command line. You know what I should have done before I double clicked on it? What I should have done, I'm going to go ahead and close that. And where's my Excel file? Have I closed my Excel file? I certainly have. Import succeeded. 10 files successfully imported. I think that means my other. Okay. It was still importing the files. That's why it was hanging. It wasn't hanging. It was importing everything from the utilities folder. Okay. So I think I'm done with this, but I don't want to close it yet, just in case I'm not. I do want to go up to downloads. Do want to go to my Excel data file, and actually now I can start deleting rows. So I'm going to delete the row with the BAS on it. So we're going to get rid of the BAS. Delete. I'm just doing this so that I have changed data in my file. So that's going to be gone. And I do have to close it so that it is not open and it's not locked. And I can go back. That's what I wanted to go back here double click on custom import.bat, it should run. And if I go back to Azure Data Studio, what I would hope to see, Azure Data Studio, what I would hope to see when I run it again is that BAS is gone. BAS is indeed gone. What that means is when I double clicked on that batch file, it ran the import process and it imported the spreadsheet again. The new spreadsheet doesn't have BAS, so it's gone. I'm very close to where I need to be now. Where I need to be is in the task scheduler. Because now that I have a batch file and that batch file is stored, I can now run this batch file on a scheduled basis from the scheduler. So every day I have a process an export process that just automatically runs on SQL Server, takes my SQL data, and then throws it into a folder. We'll assume in this case, it's throwing it into downloads. And once that is in downloads, I can then import it into process director. So if I know when my export from SQL is going to occur, so I know when my Excel spreadsheet is going to be available, that means that in the scheduler, I know when I can create a task to actually import the spreadsheet using this batch file that we created from BP import. So now all I have to do is go to my Windows menu and search for task scheduler. There it is. I can open up my task scheduler and I can create a scheduled task to run that batch file. So I'm just going to go to action. And by the way, we're probably not going to see it run, but we might. I think I have to run it manually though. So we will go to action and we will create a task. And I'm just going to call this task import Excel. And we'll run it when I'm logged on. Notice I'm not going to go cowboying my way through the settings in the task scheduler. Run only when users logged on. I think I'm going to want, actually, I wouldn't want that. On a normal system, especially if this is stuff that's happening at night, like I'm doing a nightly export out of SQL, I'm probably not going to be logged on. So I'm probably going to want to run this whether user is stored or whether user is logged on or not. That's going to be fine. Run with highest privileges. Don't think that's necessary on most systems. I'm certainly not going to turn it on. We're getting into Windows stuff, and I'll just be honest with you. Some of this Windows stuff, I'm not entirely sure how it works. So we're just doing a sample here. I'm just going to try to get an import to work. And if it works, we're going to count this as a success. Next tab is the triggers tab. This is where I set the schedule in my Windows Task Scheduler to see when stuff is going to happen. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on new to create a new trigger. We can do it one time, daily, weekly. I'm just going to go ahead and pick daily. So it'll just start on a day. I also don't have to do it on a schedule. I can do it on logon or on an event or on workstation lock, or so I've got a couple of other things. I think normally how we'd set it up would be on a schedule. In this case, I'm just going to set it daily. There's also some advanced scheduling settings so that you can stop the task if it runs too long, or you can delay the task on a random basis if you want to. I don't really know why those would be applicable, but you have those advanced settings. You can apply them. I think daily is fine for me. So it's now going to run at 11:23 every day, which also, by the way, tells me what the current time is, 11:23. Actions. Well, now this is what I got to set up what I want it to do. I obviously want it to start a program, which is that batch file. So I am just going to browse over to my downloads folder where my batch file is located, custom bpimport.bat. And I want that to run. I don't have any arguments to add. They're all part of that one line I don't need the start in. I just want this thing to run. I want BP import to run, do its thing, and then stop on my whatever schedule I have set up. So it's just going to run my batch file. I'm great with that. There are conditions I can set up. So, to filter, maybe the computer doesn't have enough power or what have you, or I don't want to do it while I'm on battery power. Whatever the options are, you can set those. I'm not going to set any of them. Then we have settings. I'm going to keep allow tasks to be run on demand so that I can click, hopefully, the run button down here and just make this occur out of the Windows scheduler. But I have some other options, some other settings options here that, again, this is Windows stuff. If you want to know about Windows stuff, sadly, I'm not the guy to tell you that. Enter the password or account for information running this task. Oh my goodness. I never log in like that. Uh, is that my password? That is not my password. Uh, Not sure what my password is on this machine. I may not be able to run it. I never actually went this far yesterday. Um, it needs to know what my password is, and I log on to this via a Windows password, which get changed all the time. And I just use the PIN. Honestly, don't know what my password is. Don't know how I can. So I guess we're not going to be able to run it from the Windows scheduler. You should know what your password is on your machine. I actually could find my password on this machine, but I'm not going to look for it because I don't want to inadvertently expose it to you. So I am not going to set this. It wasn't what I thought. Um, ah, Maybe it was what I thought. Okay. Uh, I guess I did know it. Actually, that was a different password now that I think about it than the one I originally put in. Again, Windows forces you to change your password all the time. I kind of hate it since this machine only exists in this office. But great. We've created our task. And that means that I should be able to go to my spreadsheet and reopen it. Downloads. We're going to reopen our spreadsheet and we're going to get rid of, why did I put stoat and weasel? A stoat is a weasel, just a very, very small one. We're going to delete weasel. So I'll bring us back to stoat as our last record. Again, I'm doing this so that we can see that data has been changed. Once again, I'm going to close this so that the spreadsheet isn't locked. I'm going to go back to my task scheduler, and there is my import Excel task. It's all set up, shows me all of my conditions and settings and all of the other stuff. Now I can run it. So I can just, now I'm just manually running the task. Obviously, this would want to be a scheduled task. And so we would want the scheduled task to run. It looks as if it has run. Think it's run. It's not immediately obvious. Runs the selected task. Well, I clicked the run button. Assuming I have it set up, it should have run the task. Let's go look at Excel Data Explorer and see. Yes, it did run the task. It gave me no obvious indication that it was running, but it did run the task. So I am a happy camper in terms of how this is working. There's one other thing that we have to discuss as far as BP import. And I could show you. I'm going to have to kind of blow everything up to show you. So I'm going to actually create another Excel file that I can blow up. So let's do that. So let's expand this again so that we can see the whole screen. Sorry. Let's go back to Excel. Let's open this up. And I'm going to save this as a different file name. That way I don't blow up what I've already created. I'm going to save it as a different file name. I'm going to call it Excel Data 2. And I'm going to save it. So now I've got Excel Data 2. I'm going to change this sample data to bad data. And I'm going to go back up here and change this. Actually, I'm going to blow it up right here. Now, this shouldn't happen too often where, okay, that shouldn't have happened at all. Okay, it really wants this to be text. Convert to number, convert to number, convert to number, and convert to number. Okay, so I'm going to, now this should blow up, right? And that is Excel Data 2. And I am going to take my Excel data, my original, and you know what? I'm just going to create a new folder. And I'm going to drop it into that new folder there. So it exists down there. So now I've just got Excel Data 2 in this folder. So did I close the window scheduler? No, I didn't. It's still open. So if I run it again this time, and I go back to process, oh, I didn't close this and save it. So close and save it. Sorry about that. Let me go. First of all, let me see if it failed or not. Let me refresh my folder. Didn't bring it in. Okay, great. So now I can run it. And there we go. I got Excel Data 2. I'm happy with that. It's Excel Data 2. And what did I name the tab? I think I called it bad data, right? So let's go into Azure Explorer. Let me refresh my database. So I got to go all the way back up here to the top. Hit refresh, go back to tables. And now I should have a DBO. Oh, no, I haven't imported this data at all. Ah, okay, great. No, we don't want to do that yet. I've got to import this data in my spreadsheet. So I got to set this up. I am going to set drop table. I am going to go ahead and set for Excel webinar. We'll call this webinar underscore again. Lets me know what I'm going to need to get rid of. And then automatically import this. So we're going to import the table. No, we're not. I have an A in one of those rows and it is not wanting to make that conversion. So what do we see inside our database in terms of that data? So this should be DBO webinar bad data. Okay, there we go. We have a table. We've got columns. They're all invar max. Oh, encounters is an int field. So because it was a shorter digit, it went ahead and went to int field rather than a numeric or rather than a double field. So, okay, I don't like the invar max or whatever, but we're just playing around with stuff now. Okay, good. What does this look like? So let's just do a select top 1000 on that table, our bad data table. And there we go. We only bought in 2 records. We had a failure. I know this because we did it manually and it failed. Okay, so what's going to happen now if we go back and do it either with BP import or we do it with this? And I hit run here. We're in the task scheduler. What's going to happen? Well, not much. This is not telling me anything. It failed. I know that it failed. I can confirm that it failed simply by going back to Azure Data Studio and trying to run it again. Yeah, still failed. 2 rows affected. Okay, not what I wanted. I didn't get an error message here, though, that told me that it failed. There may be one in the Windows error log if I really wanted to go look for it. I don't, so I'm not gonna. But this does not tell me that it failed. I had a failed import. This did not tell me that. I'm going to go ahead and delete this task because I obviously don't want that to run every day. All right, well, let's go back to BP import. Fine. Let's run this. We'll just start it from BP import. Okay, it says the file was successfully imported. Was it? No, I still have a problem, and the problem is my data. But I'm only going to see that error if I try to do it here, if I try to import this table. So now that I have the table there and it's sort of messed up, oh, I do want to update. I can go back here. I don't want to go to import database. I can do a checkout and then check back in. For Excel data too, I can upload it. It's going to blow up again on me. And we're SQL Data Studio. And it's still only going to get me to record number 2. Okay. But at least it gave me an error. It did not give me an error when I tried to run it out of here. Or no, sorry. When I tried to run it out of here, out of BP import. In fact, let's change the data just so that we can see what happens. I probably should have done that ahead of time or before I ran that quick import, but let's go, fine, let's change the data. Let's get rid of Eagle. No, I want to delete. Delete. Okay, so we've deleted our Eagle row. Maybe that's a little too zoomed in. Our bad row is now on row 2. So we will save and close that, and we will go back to BP import and we'll run it again. Hey, 1 file successfully imported into process director. By the way, this is true. 1 file did successfully import into process director. And once that happened, BP import was just as happy as a clam. I have done my job. I have imported your file into process director. And that's true as far as it goes. What is also true is that there was an error on row 2 and my data did not come in. So whether you're using a batch file or whether you're manually doing it in BP import, as we've been doing, or whether you set up the batch file to run in your task scheduler, remember what you are setting up a task to do is to import a file into the content list. Once that file gets into the content list, BP import, the batch file, the task scheduler, they don't care whether your data import worked the way that you wanted your data import to work. They were supposed to transfer a file. They transferred a file. Job done. So you're not going to get any data errors for any of these automated processes because where you're only going to see the errors, the only place you're going to be able to find them when you come in first thing in the morning is to go into troubleshooting. And you're going to need to go into your logs and you're going to need to, well, you can actually find it in the script logs. That's what opens up for me. I've got all kinds of problems in my script logs. I think it's in the internal logs too, where it actually gives you what the error was in the internal log. And you do. Um, uh, how far up does it go? It goes to right, right there. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm trying to highlight it so we can see it. We can see where it starts. So right there, this is all the bad stuff is happening. So this is where my errors are. And by the way, it'll tell me where my error is. It says row equals 1. Remember, rows in this context are 0 based. So row 1 is actually row 0 in a 0 based system. Row 1 is actually row 2 in the spreadsheet. So this is telling me where my error is and that there is a data import error and tells me what the error is. Input string was not in the correct format. It was an A. It should have been a number. And it didn't work for me. So this is where I'm going to have to go to find the error if there are any data errors after the automated import, because none of the Windows-based file transfer systems are going to show an error. You got to remember the import only occurs after, or the data import only occurs after the file has successfully been transferred and uploaded into the content list. And that's the only thing that that BP import or the task scheduler, the batch file, that's the only thing they care about, whether they got the file up there. They got the file up there and they did it correctly and everything was safe, then we're safe. One file successfully imported. What happens to your data after that? Nobody on the Windows side cares. So just keep that in mind. The only place that you're going to be able to see where there are these data errors is if you come into either the internal or the script logs. They're both going to show you different aspects of information about that data failing. So obviously, if I want to fix this error, I've got to fix my data so that it's showing me the correct data. So in this case, obviously, I would change that to whatever 14. Well, I messed things up by specifying all the text formatting, but there we go. Now it's a number again. Now I can close it and um, let's just run my batch file again. I'll just run it manually this time. And my batch file is run. So I should see in SQL Data Explorer, all of my bad data is now good data. And I am good to go in my database. All right. So far, I've gotten data in an automated fashion. We've gotten data in a manual fashion. In the brief time that we have left, and that means, by the way, we're done with playing around with the data. So I'm going to go ahead and close. No, I probably shouldn't have closed that. Never mind. I'm probably going to have to go back and open it a bit later. But let's go back to Process Director. I'm just trying to simplify all of the stuff I have open. Forgive me, I am easily confused. So let's go back to Process Director. And it's a good thing that this is already built and I can just demo it because I'm not going to be able to build this from scratch. Obviously, that is the wrong partition. Training, Excel array. So here's another way I can get data into Process Director. A little more complicated, although you can certainly build it and make it work. I've got this array request form. I spoke about this in a lot more detail in a previous webinar where I did a bunch of Q&A stuff from you guys. So if you want to go back to that Q&A webinar, you can take a look at that. But I can actually just upload my Excel document. So there's my Excel data 2 document. I can just upload it to a form. And then inside, I have a process where I will just take this data, I will bring it in, import it, add it to an array, and then I will run a process for each row in the array. So if I go ahead and complete this data, I've brought the data in and I go into my process run from array. I should have, well, okay, that's the old way of doing it. I need to be in the content list. I need to just go to active timelines. I have 3 rows in that array for that particular spreadsheet, and it's running 3 rows of data inside the inside Process Director. It's actually a little different data source, but it's running 3 rows of data for me. So now I have these 3 processes running. Pretty simple to set up. And again, I have a completed application that does this. So if you happen to want it, you can email me and I will give it to you. But basically, I just have my request form, and my request form does 2 things. It allows me to update a Excel spreadsheet in this case, and it has an array on it. And that array basically just shows all of my Excel spreadsheet data. So in my upload, I just upload a document. It's an Excel spreadsheet. And once the document uploads and I run the process, I actually unhide this array so that I can see the array before I close the form. But the array shows me the data that I have. And because I have an array, when I submit this form, it kicks off a process. And the process that it kicks off, I'm just going to keep the content list open for now, is this Excel array request timeline, which actually does 2 things. Both of them are custom tasks. So the first thing it does is an item actions custom task, and it basically just imports the Excel file. So it imports the Excel file into its own folder. And the reason why I didn't see the animal data, by the way, was because I imported the wrong Excel file. And that Excel file created a different table than the one that's being used to populate the array. But in any event, I import this Excel file. I just import it into the content list. I import it into the data folder, which is right here in this completed application. And by the way, in the data folder, there's a copy of this spreadsheet, which is the one I should have used. But in any event, I just do an item actions, which takes the file that I upload. And by the way, everything should be the same. I've got a template file. That template file exists in the data folder. All I'm doing is uploading a different version of it to overwrite it so that it re-imports the data from my attachment. So I just have a form. I can set up the attachment and send it off to the data folder. What we were actually looking for in the data folder was the array items spreadsheet, not this Excel data spreadsheet. They're actually looking at different data sources. They're doing different things. And the array items spreadsheet creates its own table. There is an Excel array business value that actually pulls all the values and sticks them onto the array in the form after it imports. So that import item actions is important. I've got a template folder in there. I upload a new copy of it to this form. It sticks it in the data folder. The template is already in there, set to update itself to re-import the data whenever a new spreadsheet is imported. So that new spreadsheet overwrites the old one. The data gets imported all as part of this import Excel custom task. And once the data gets imported, it shows up on that array in the form. I should probably show you that array in the form. So let me cancel out of there. Actually, I do want to proceed. I want to leave there. I want to go back to the form real quick. So in my form, in the set form data, I've got the input 1, input 2, and input 3. They're set to column 1, 2, and 3 of a business value. That business value just returns the 3 columns that are in that Excel spreadsheet. So that's how my array gets filled out. And it just happens automatically once the form loads. And so once that form loads and it fills out that array, and we saw the 3 rows in that array from my array items Excel file, then in the process timeline, after I've imported that, I've got new data, then I can do the run process on array, because now I've got an array of new data that I just imported via uploading the spreadsheet and submitting the form. And so now I just do a run process. And in the run process custom task, I can run a process from an array, and it will launch a new instance of the process for each row in the array. So in my process run from array, that's the process that I want to start. It's already bound to the array. So my array field is actually named array. So I can just, well, that's the only thing I can select is array. It's the only array on the form. So I just set my array field as array. So I do the array binding for that. And then I'm going to launch the process, run process from array. Now on my form for the array process, I have fields as well. They're not array fields. They're just input 1, input 2, and input 3. And so what I'm going to do is for each row in the array, I'm going to transfer the values that are in input 1, 2, and 3 in the array row into the form fields input 1, 2, and 3 on my destination form. And that's really all that I'm doing. I'm just doing a import Excel, or actually it's a item actions custom task to take my Excel attachment and stick it in the content list. It has the same name as my template, which is important. So it overwrites my template file. My template file, when overwritten, automatically imports the data. On the form itself, that will now refresh my array because I have a business value that is set up to pull all of the data from that spreadsheet that gets imported into SQL. It pulls all that SQL data, gets me my array, fills my array on the form. Once I have the array on the form, we move to the next step in our process timeline, which is actually running the process. The process itself that we're running, pretty simple, doesn't really do much. I've got a form with 3 form fields on it: animal, plant, fish, with some data. That's it. And then the process itself literally just has a user activity just to assign a task to me, so that we could see, as we did previously, that I had 3 timeline instances that were running. And I apparently deleted them live. Probably shouldn't have done that, but in any event, that's all it is. So really just running those 2 custom tasks here in the array forms timeline will just allow me to take an Excel spreadsheet, attach it to a document, and then import it, update the data, and all of that. I don't expect that this is going to be something you do very often, but it's an option for you. And the nice thing about it is you can just do it manually. You don't have to have access to the content list. So this may be an option if you want somebody who you don't want to make an administrator who has access to the content list and what have you. You don't want them to have that sort of access, but you do want them to be able just to take an Excel spreadsheet and get it uploaded into the system. all they need to be able to do is submit a form. And if they can submit a form, then we can just run these two. We don't even need this third activity. That's only there so we could actually see the form after the import happened. I don't actually need that. You really only need the item actions custom task and the run process custom task. And then you can just have anybody with access to this form grab the Excel spreadsheet, the updated version of it, upload it to a form, submit the form, and then have your data just re-imported automatically. Like I said, don't expect you to do that much, but it is an option for you. I think the most common options would be the two that we've spent the last 1 hour and 55 minutes discussing, and we've discussed it enough. So have a great week. We will look forward to speaking with you next week. So long.